And I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Russia has always been committed to the full and definitive end of nuclear tests around the world. Since 1991, our country has adhered to a moratorium on nuclear tests, and since then has not conducted a single nuclear test. This year, we're marking the 25th anniversary from the day of opening for signature of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Agreeing on the CTBT in 1996 became one of the most important milestones in the context of international efforts to introduce a comprehensive ban on nuclear tests. Russia actively took part in developing this treaty and ratified it back in the year 2000. Since then, we have strictly adhered to its provisions, and we are making a constructive contribution in the work of the Preparatory Commission for the CTBTO. Now, on the 25th anniversary of the CTBT, the president of Russia, Putin, made a statement in which he stressed that the development of this historical document aimed at cardinally strengthening the non-proliferation regime for nuclear weapons confirmed that even the most complex issues of global security can be resolved through negotiations, end of quote. Now, 25 years after the development of the CTBO, it has become almost universal in terms of the number of signatories and the most advanced of international legal instruments against nuclear tests. The comprehensive no-threshold ban on any kind of nuclear tests that is provided in it is bolstered by an effective system of monitoring which is capable of serving as a reliable safeguard against proliferation and against the development of nuclear weapons. For a vast majority of countries, including Russia, the CTBT has become an integral part of ensuring international stability and security. We welcome the signature and ratification by the CTBT by Cuba and its ratification by the Union of the Comoros. Each ratification is important and another step towards the universalization of the treaty. Nevertheless, Mr. President, our festive mood in connection with this anniversary is dampened by the fact that the CTBT still has not entered into force and its prospects remain uncertain. States that have opted to embrace the treaty cannot fully rely on that treaty. We have already stated our concerns about the current situation during the 12th Article 14 conference to promote the entry into force of the CTBT on the 23rd of September. Unfortunately, 8 countries from the Annex 2 the ratification of which is a precondition for its entry into force, have not taken practical steps to either sign it or to ratify it. This creates significant obstacles in the area of nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament. The situation where international treaties cannot fully function 25 years after they've been signed can hardly be called normal. We believe that any attempts to ensure some sort of strategic advantages by refusing to take part in key international treaties is unacceptable. In light of some recent news about the development of certain military technologies by certain alliances, we're significantly concerned about the future of the nuclear non-proliferation regime. The Russian Federation is in favor of further progressive development of the monitoring regime in the framework of the CTBT, and we're making a significant contribution in this work by creating the second largest national monitoring segment, which after the end of construction will have 32 sites. 29 of them have already become operational. The potential of the Preparatory Commission for the CTBTO is unique and can have a broad application. However, that does not mean that its use should be unlimited or inappropriate. The verification mechanism is created for specific purposes which are clearly enshrined in the treaty. Its main goal is the verification and compliance with the obligations under the treaty. And the work of the IMS, International Monitoring System, should be conducted in strict adherence to the provisions of the CTBT, the mandate of the preparatory committee, and taking into account the realistic prospects of the entry into force of the agreement. I'd like to just recall that before the entry into force of the CTBT, IMS can only function and be used in a test mode and on a temporary basis. Any participation by member states of the preparatory committee in its activity should be strictly voluntary until the CTBT entered into force. When we signed and ratified the treaty, we agreed to it precisely under those conditions. We think that this kind of situation that has become unavoidable due to the non-entry into force of the CTBT should not drag on for years or decades. We call on the leadership of countries who hold the fate of the CTBT in their hands to demonstrate political determination and responsibility and take concrete steps to sign or ratify the treaty. Mr. President, in conclusion, I'd like to stress that it's important that until the entry into force of the CTBT, all states should adhere strictly to its spirit and letter. Also, it's very important to ensure a moratorium on nuclear tests in the meantime. Russia intends to continue adhering to that moratorium on condition that other nuclear powers adopt a similar approach. At the same time, we should recall that a voluntary moratorium is an interim temporary measure. It cannot replace legal obligations under an international treaty, which lend force to the joint actions of the international community in case of contravention. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.